Horror.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The only podcast that will feed your horror need.
The need to feed.
With JL.
Yeah, I'm a fucking masochist. I'll watch that shit.
Eugene.
Somebody has to be the sex symbol. I'm sorry.
Alex.
Shit, I just demonetize this forever.
And Johnny O.
How do you like that shit? Got halfway through the monologue before unmuting myself. Golly, it's one of them fucking days.
With industry guests.
Hi, this is Richard Oakes, Director of Host.
Hey, this is Adam Leader, Director of Host.
This is Matthew Mark Hunter.
I'm Donna Nelly.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
And this is Week in Horror.
And you're listening to Week in Horror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
News, trivia, and more.
One by one, we will take you.
Join our live show Wednesdays at 7 Central, youtube.com/weekinhorror, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Week in Horror. Stay scared.
Welcome. Sorry, a little bit of a delay there. welcome, horror fans. It's Wednesday.
Give it 15 minutes.
I did. I tried to give you as much time as possible. Welcome. It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, and that means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast that should have bought a Zenith. I love Johnny's reactions to my quotes. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast host, you can join us here for our live show on YouTube right now. So you too can laugh and scream with us, flex your horror knowledge in the live chat, maybe even win some trivia prizes. This week, we are covering select films released in horror history February 13th through the 19th. Thank you all so much for joining us. I am JL, and with me tonight are Eugene and Johnny O.
What's up, everybody?
Hi.
Johnny is all thumbs. And a middle finger.
How's the JL middle finger go? Can't even do it. I'm not posh like you are. There it is.
Apparently, it's posh to do the middle finger, and then you see, I tried it. I was like, and I just did it reflexively, and apparently the middle finger comes up. So apparently, that is the posh way. Of delivering the blood.
As you sip tea, you have to have your pinky up.
So your pinky up, pinky's out.
Out, pinky out. The gray poupon.
I'm flipping you the bird. Oh, bully. To industry.
Good Lord. We're not even 5 minutes in this thing. We've already derailed. Jesus Christ.
Oh man. We've completely lost it. Oh, okay. Well, before we get further lost, let's take a look real quick and see who's in the live chat. I see Surf, one of our amazing patrons. Speaking of which, bam, there's our patrons listed down there at the bottom. Their names are on the banner. They help us to make this show the incredible train wreck that it is. So thank you so much, Surf. I'm glad you're here. Donnie Does That's in the house says, hey, everybody. Good to see you, Donnie Does That. Travis Brown is in the house. Good to see you, sir. Donnie says, wait, why does the title card say the 13th through the 19th? Isn't that next week? And you would be correct, sir. The reason we do this way is we record the live show on the Wednesday preceding the week that we're going to talk about, so that when we drop the audio, it drops on Sunday, and we drop that bad boy on noon, so you can listen to something really cool after you get out of church.
You don't go to church.
No, I don't. It's not like that. Well, I was going to say you could have a palate cleanser after church, but that's
there's something about talking about a good dismembering after church. That
exactly.
Exactly.
All right, Sarcasm's in the house. Good to see you, Sarcasm. Another one of our amazing patrons. Aaron Reese is in the house. Now, new host Aaron Reese is in the house. So, unfortunately, Aaron Reese can no longer win trivia prizes. So, congratulations to everybody else for now having a chance.
Aaron broke the game.
And H. Jasper E. H. Jasper is in the house. Good to see you. Hello. And, of course, Charlie Welch. See you. Jinju's in the house. Good to see you. Getting it It jumped on me. Why does that on occasion? Charlie Walsh is in the house. Good to see you. Also, another one of our amazing patrons. Cindy Johnson's in the house. Good to see you, Cindy. Angie says, "Hey, you scary sons of bitches." Good to see you, Angie. It's a pleasure to have you here. And then, of course, Nerd Journal says, "You broke it. I'll be in and out now. How is everyone? We are doing great." And I am back. I saw somebody mention it was
Wednesday. Alice back.
I'll punch you in the face.
No, you won't.
Well, I can't reach you. You're 5 hours away from me.
So, in other words, you won't.
Exactly.
Surf watches as the subs go down. Travis Brown says Johnny O was really excited to host last week.
So excited. It was the most fun I've ever had. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we put up with, in the office around here, in the Week in Horror offices.
Fucking some dirty, rusty old basement. That ain't an office.
Sarcasm says, I happened to grab my kink shaming cannibal shirt from the closet today. I got some looks, but no asks.
Well, at least you got the looks.
Yeah, that's step one.
That's step one. Yeah, be noticed.
Be noticed.
That's important. And Queen Boudica Radiant is in the house. Says, good luck with that cancel. I'm not sure what that's a reference to.
I don't know. Dismemberment, church, something like that. Cancel for another reason.
I don't know.
Travis Brown says, Eugene has Pinhead as his pastor in his church.
Well, if I'm going to go to church, I'm going to go to the right church.
Exactly.
Be the left church.
Why did I just suddenly think of that stupid meme where somebody replaced Pinhead's face with Seinfeld? What's with the suffering? The sweet, sweet suffering. What's that about?
That person needs to.
Sorry, it's so dumb.
Just that bass note.
I'm seeing the movie, seeing the first one when they first appear. I can't even do that intro. The Seinfeld style intro.
Boudica Radiant says, I just saw they're trying to cancel Adele for saying she loves being a woman. Okay.
Oh, that's silly.
Okay.
Okay. Good luck with that cancel. I see. Okay. That's
are we canceling stupid. Just like an entire sex now? Like I don't.
Ivy Gentry's in the house says, well, Johnny O forgot to say hi to me last week. That's why I'm glad that JL is back.
I probably did forget to say hi to you last week. I apologize.
And Mr. Malort's in the house all the way from Chicago. Good to see you, Mr. Malort. I don't want to be a pinhead no more.
You don't have a choice. Once you're part of the church, you're in.
Sarcasm says the last church that I went to, the last church I was in, burnt to the ground 2 weeks after my baptism. I took that as a sign. There's a story there, I think.
We know it wasn't you who turned it on fire, Charlie. Turned it on fire? You
just turn on the fire? Somebody turn the fire on here.
God loves everybody. Whoa!
No, it's the Thor. It's Thorman. Does he though? Does he though? Glober Mom is in us. Good to see you, Glober Mom. Thank you so much for being here. Man, oh man, we got some amazing people in the chat tonight. And if I accidentally missed somebody, because I was scrolling through it pretty quick and it jumped on me a couple of times, I do apologize. Angel Rivera, I just saw you. What up, Angel Rivera? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So, all right. Man, oh man. So, the first thing I wanted to ask you guys about before we dive into tonight's selections, new Netflix series that just came out. All of Us Are Dead. So South Korean production. Really, I when I was actually in Dallas, when I was actually on vacation, we binge. I binge watched vacation.
Fuck
I
you.
Was on vacation. I was on vacation from this.
Shut up. I was on vacation from doing my job, but I don't have.
This is a job.
Man, I would say something really mean right now, but I'm not gonna. Nope, you can't make it.
This is anyway. I was on vacation from this job. So
how much does this job pay you? That's what I thought. Now
it doesn't matter if it pays me
or not. Job, Tommy.
Such a dick. Anyway, so while I was out,
that's better.
Fucking happy,
yeah,
miserable shit. So while I was out,
that's why I'm here.
While I was in Texas, my friends and I binge watched this new Netflix series. All of Us Are Dead. Absolutely amazing. I recommended it. I didn't know if you guys got a chance to at least watch the first episode or at least watch the trailer for the show. Or
I didn't even get a chance to look at the title card. It's been just crazy at work, real work, where I'm expected to actually perform on certain things, lest I get in trouble.
Sarcasm says, "My YouTube channel is a job. This is a work of joy. Like we do this out of love."
Yeah,
sure.
I feel so alone right now.
There's not a gun pointed at my head right now that pulls the trigger. Not
that the audience can see.
Not at all.
Well,
his
I will
mouth
say
says yes, but his eyes are screaming for help.
They treat me really well, very, very well. The food is great
here. I don't need help at all.
So I thought the series was absolutely amazing. If you loved Train to Busan, then you would really, really dig this one. There are a few slow moments because there's a lot of character development in it. But nonetheless,
6-episode show.
10, I think.
10. Okay, I kind of looked at it. I couldn't remember. So yeah, there are gonna be some slow moments in there, but I'm excited. I really am excited to look at it. All jokes aside, because when you said it was like Train to Busan, I really enjoy Train to Busan. I love good zombie horror film, and this, from everything that I've heard, it seems to fit that mold. So I'm looking forward to checking it out when I get the opportunity.
Yeah, not to mention, I don't mind slow moments when there's actual character building. Like that's okay to do in a zombie movie, like Train to Busan.
Will you stop shitting on The Walking Dead already?
The Walking Dead had character development, like in season 1.
Yeah,
well, okay. You have to admit Norman Reedus's character arc as Daryl was pretty solid until he. I mean, essentially,
that was an accident. You know it was. You know it was an accident. They didn't do it on purpose. They just happened to accidentally find somebody who is a quote sex symbol that kept all the women back, and that's what happened. Okay, that's what happens. The dude's like, he's kind of cool, I guess. He's a redneck, so I can kind of get down with that. That's all that shit is. I'm sorry, Norman Reedus. He's a fun-loving guy, but he is not the best actor.
I will say, because Walking Dead has run way past its expected, dude. It should have been drug out the pasture and euthanized a long time ago.
Damn.
On it, I used to look forward to the show. I think I watched up to about season 5 or season 6, and I remember like season 2. Man, I was pumped. I watched season 2. That was great. Season 3, I was like, man, this is just getting awesome. And then there's like a turning point, and I was like, I don't care about the show anymore.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going. It's like it's on life support.
I still love The Walking Dead because I read the comics. I was a reader from the comics from the very, very beginning. I read them all the way to the end. While I didn't really dig the way Adler and Kirk, the way they ended the comics, I wasn't Charlie Adler, the way they ended it. I didn't really dig that. But it's their comic. I've been going for
Robert Kirkman who killed
it. And Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adler.
Charlie Adler is the guy who draws the pictures. It was Robert Kirkman who said, "All right, story's done."
I want to give credit to both. I want to give credit to both.
No.
Anyway, Robert Kirkman and Charlie Adler, creators of The Walking Dead. Nonetheless, I wanted to. I was not pleased with the way that they dropped, with the way that they ended the comic series. I'm kind of curious how they're going to end the live action one, how they're going to end that, how the Rick stories are going to play in, and how the spin-off series of Carol and Daryl is going to play off. So I'm not sure where they're going with it, but nonetheless, I still enjoy it. I still like it. See Charlie Welch's. I still watch Walking Dead. No shame, damn straight. Still
Here's the thing. I still watch it, but it's not important. I'll wait until it shows up on Netflix, like the season, and just watch it on Netflix. But Yeah, I'm kind of with Eugene on this. I just don't care anymore. It used to be, hey, I'm going to go watch this show, and I actually had cable television, so I specifically would watch this show. And it's like, fuck this! I'm not spending $100 a month just to watch one stupid television show. And then I would buy the episode on Amazon, and then after that, I was like, man, I'll just wait till it comes on Netflix because I don't care that much anymore. A, I don't have time. B, it's really not that engaging anymore. The first season was fucking great.
It was phenomenal.
Frank Darabont, again, is a genius, and he gets shit on because of what happened with the whole Walking Dead thing. But the reason why he left, or the reason why he was replaced, was because he didn't want the Walking Dead to turn into what it's turned into. Right, so they were talking about we're going to bump it from 6 episodes to 12. He's like, no, let's not do that because you're going to kill the story. 6, maybe 7 episodes is perfectly fine. That's going to keep the story moving along per season. It's going to be interesting. You're going to be able to tell a lot of story in a little bit of time. Season 1 is a perfect example of that. It was a great season, a great way to start to that. And then they went to 13, then 16. Now they're doing 2 episodes. I mean, for fuck's sake.
It's a network show now. I mean, it's just 22 up versus something that's like real little contained, and that each episode can contain so much. It's been so commercialized,
right? And there's nothing wrong with that. They caught success with it and ran with it, which is fine. But it really has, I mean, no pun intended, really has zombified itself. It's eaten itself. I mean, it's just it's done. It was so done that I know Robert Kirkman did not plan to end the comic series the way he ended it. He was just tired of it. You can tell because it went from story, like, fuck it, we're done. We're just done. Like,
yeah,
like
it just kind of like dropped it.
Yeah, it just kind of ends.
He just stopped. He's like, I'm so burnt out on this fucking story because now I'm writing this comic and then he didn't want to do the thing where he turned his material over to somebody else. He wrote every episode. Well, not every episode, but the majority of the episodes for the comic series, he had a hand in writing. And then he was also doing that with the television series and producing, and he just got burned out. So he said, "Fucking, I'm done with this." Right. And it's kind of a shame because that could have been so much better than it was. This TV show.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that when it first hit, the timing was right on it. It was something AMC used to show classic movies.
They still do. But
they still do. But then all of a sudden you have, boom, Walking Dead transforms the entire channel.
Yes, it did.
Walking Dead and Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad and Walking Dead both changed that channel forever.
We wouldn't have Breaking Bad if it wasn't for Walking Dead. Because Walking Dead showed AMC that they could take a risk and put something out that was a little more adult, a little more risque, and have success with it. Then they're like, all right, cool. We got this other idea. Let's green light that, see how it goes. And it worked for them for a while. AMC was putting out really solid television. The Walking Dead, they had Breaking Bad, and then what was it? Preacher, and there was a couple other ones in there that were mixed in that were really good. And then I feel like Fear the Walking Dead should have been. Like they're now getting to as good as it should have been from the beginning. They rushed up.
Well, it was almost like it started off strong. And then it really dipped for a minute, but now it's like season 5. It's really ramped it up.
Right.
I'm looking forward to where it's going to go.
There are some things that I wish they would have done different in the first 2 seasons. Like they got way too into the zombie thing way too fast. Like this is supposed to be precursor, lead up to zombie apocalypse. And it was like, all right, here we go. Zombies. Boom, we're done. Season 1, all right, cool. We're full-blown apocalypse. Like, no, come on. Lead me up a little bit more. Lead me on. I mean, but whatever.
And well, see, I agree with it too because I was excited about Fear the Walking Dead because we skip over that in The Walking Dead,
right?
Where Rick just wakes up and zombies are there,
right in the middle of it. Yeah.
Just that. I mean, that's it. And I like that they went to that. That works for The Walking Dead. So when you go back to the Fear the Walking Dead, I was like, how did this actually begin? Because the scariest part of a zombie apocalypse is not when zombies are already over the place and you're already geared up and everything. It's they're coming home from work.
The fall of civilization.
Actual fall.
I'm telling you, I went back and watched that just because I wanted something to watch just before I fell asleep. And I went back and watched that very first episode of The Walking Dead. I was like, man, it's been over 10 years. I want to go back and just watch the pilot. I just want to go back and watch see where they came from. God damn, that was a good piece of show of television. I was like, that moment. It has moments, nuanced moments, where it allows its actors to feel their characters and really get into them. That moment when when Rick eventually finally gets home, goes inside screaming for Lori and Carl, was like this. And that moment where he's trying, and he's like slapping he's like touching the floor, trying to figure out, is this a dream? Am I asleep?
Yeah.
Like this kid, this is so insane, it can't be real. You know, just that, and just those little moments, they've completely lost those little moments of reflection and inflection. It's just a shame. But I love where it started. But this one, as I totally spaced, All of Us Are Dead. I really, really dug it because for two reasons. One, the character development is strong. You have characters that you actually care about. You have bad guys that you actually hate. It's like you the bad guys you love to hate, and the good guys you really want to survive. And then it's the same kind of. It's the same. The stakes are high. You don't know who's going to go because everybody is at risk because these are kids. They're not adults. These are kids at school. The outbreak begins at a high school. So it's kind of like, what are you going to do? And it shows how it crosses the entire spectrum. It shows not only the kind of youthful, that generation and how it views things, how the adults of the previous generation, all the adults, how they view things, how the government works, the bureaucracy, and how much of a pain in the ass it is, but how it also kind of works. It shows the failings of everything, why the system breaks down, why it's so slow to get moving. And then, of course, and how ultimately there is a rift between our leadership, our government, and us and the populace in having to deal with catastrophe, but how we together can overcome that. And that's what makes us strong, because we are forced to be, we are reliant on one another. It's really great writing. I really enjoyed it. So I think everybody else out there would take it as well.
Checking it out. Yeah.
I'm definitely
watch list. So
definitely. All right, Tony Regime says Andrew Lincoln was the best actor in Walking Dead for just convincing people he was American.
Not only that, he had to drop his posh British accent for a Southern hillbilly. What was he? Kentucky? Yeah,
Georgia.
No. He was Atlanta. They ended up in Atlanta, but I thought he was a Kentucky.
No. The whole thing takes place in Georgia.
Yeah, it starts off in Georgia.
I know where I'm telling you, I thought he was somewhere else different, but that's okay.
Anyway, Aaron Reese says zombie stick people aren't all that scary. Just saying, the art matters. Very agreed. Mr. Lord says I'm not a zombie fan. Not everybody is. That's okay. Everyone's got their got their love. Queen Boudica Radiant says I don't know if anyone has seen Burnt Offerings yet. We have, and that is in my new top 5 ever. Awesome. It is an amazing film. I really, really love that one myself. Dan Hetfield's in the house. Good to see you. Says howdy doody, folks. Good to see you, Dan Hetfield.
Yeah, sorry, you're wrong. He was a police officer in the small town of Cynthia, Kentucky. Go fuck yourself.
In the comics or in the show?
In the show. He was a Kentucky police officer. He made his way to Georgia, but he started out as a cop in Kentucky. Fucking mess with me on my Rick Grimes knowledge.
Look me up. Yeah. All right. That's fine.
Wait. But the show takes place in Georgia.
So does comics. That takes place in Georgia, but he was a Kentucky police officer first. Small town.
But when it starts off, he's working as a Georgia deputy,
Kentucky.
What the hell is he doing? Okay,
because hospitals, because I imagine where the border is, the best hospital for a gunshot may have been in Georgia.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this. Charlie Weld says, I like the spinoff Fear the Walking Dead. It's post-nuclear now, and that's true. Yes, the bomb has dropped. And I'm curious where they're going to go, especially this whole thing going on with Strand and everything. I want to see how that's going to play out. Let me see here. Make sure nobody else new popped in that I didn't say hi to. I think we're good. Oh, wow. Lots of comments kind of got by. All right. Wrote a no last name. Gabba Gabba to you, sir. It says, how to remove plot armor in a film. Kill a kid in the first 20 minutes.
Yep.
Yep, pretty much. All right. I think we're good to go. I think I haven't missed anybody. I haven't missed anyone. No. Okay, well, I'm good. Yeah, I'm solid. I burned enough time saying hi to everybody. So, Johnny, I know you're so ready to get into these movies.
No.
That's why normally you're the guy who's like, we have to talk about the movies. We have to talk about the movies. But today you're just like,
I don't want
No, let's talk about Walking Dead. Let's
Walking Dead. Talk about Walking Dead.
And the George Head's in the house. Good to see you at the George Head.
Talk about.
That's Andy George Head sitting in the corner. Good to see you. Come on, Johnny. You're up first.
We have to
take it. Just take it on the chin, man. Take it on the
up.
chin. This movie was not that bad.
It wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. There's some things, some tropes that were beat to death, but we'll get there here in a second. All right, so we're but we are talking about the 2003 American comedy horror film called Monster Man. It was written and directed by Michael Davis, starring Eric Jungman, Justin, Urich, Amy Brooks, and Michael Bailey Smith. It's kind of, I don't think you want me to tell that part. Anyway, so the movie basically starts out with these two buddies, Adam and Haley, who are driving across the country because
Harley.
What?
Harley.
Whatever. Who gives a fuck? Nobody's listening. What the hell with it? Anyway, so Adam and Harley, stupid name, both driving across country so Adam can tell his girlfriend Betty Ann that he still loves her before she gets married. And in a
name, Harley. Stupid name.
And of course, they come across this monster truck and this hearse and then this thing, and then God, it's so stupid. It's so bad. It kind of like a mix between Wrong Turn, Jeepers Creepers, and that stupid fucking movie you saw every Saturday night on like UPN 21 or something. I gotta say, okay, look, this movie isn't terrible. It's not terrible. It's something to watch as you're driving home from work. Okay. Not that I did that. Yeah. So we have satanic cults and body parts and harvesting and, eating chili that has eyeballs in it. And yeah, can I say that Best Friend he was just not very good. Harley was not good.
Really?
I didn't like him.
No, I thought.
Wow.
Okay, hang on a second. Was it Good Luck Chuck? It's Good Luck Chuck, right? With Dane Cook, who
yeah.
Okay. What was that guy? What was his best friend in there? What was his best friend's name? You know who I'm talking about.
It's a Dane Cook movie, so
I can't remember that.
It's been 10 years since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, I can't remember the actor's name, but that's for me. It seemed like that's who they should have hired for this role because he plays that obnoxious best friend asshole role so much better.
Oh, Dan Fogler?
Yes.
Okay.
He plays that role so much better. And whereas the guy who played him in this Monster Man wasn't terrible, it's just I didn't like him. You know what I mean? If you're going to be that goofy, asshole-ish, over-the-top character, you got to be likable. And I didn't like him. I wanted him to fucking get decapitated.
Okay, I admit that he did the annoying bit. This is weird because
he was annoying as hell.
He was one of the for me. He was one of the salvaging points of the movie, is because I enjoy the physical comedy he pulled off really, really well. Yes, he was super obnoxious. Yes, he did some gross shit. I don't mind gross stuff, but I could have done without the eating up the dead cat. That was kind of like I thought that was just a little over the top. Eating the cannibal scene, that's one thing, but the whole like it was that just
killed it for me too. Nobody fucking does that. Nobody fucking sleep fucks. Okay.
Apparently he does.
It doesn't.
But the dude is such
a person and a cat.
He's such a walking train wreck. And which is what that's I think that's why it worked for me and why the film wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because the film does not take itself seriously. There is a serious bone in this entire fucking movie, and I think yes, it is a bunch of tropes, pretty much all stitched together to kind of stitch together. Huh? It's pretty much what it is, but I will say they make the best of what they've got. You can tell that the vast majority of the production value went into making that truck. That truck was actually pretty sick. It would have been cool if we saw the inside of it, to see what was like, but nonetheless, I thought the fucking thing was cool as hell. I'm kind of a monster truck fan. I grew up watching Bigfoot, and I love Gravedigger's always been one of my favorites, but this thing was pretty badass. And I like this idea of this monster truck being, and I'll give you, cinematography wise, some of the chase scenes were pretty solid. Just the way they lined up some of those shots, especially in the hills area when they're running away from it and it comes over that hill and does what monster trucks do, and it looks very, very scary and everything because it's so big. I just liked what they did. They didn't have a lot to work with.
But then it couldn't get past that ditch.
Well, that one particular one, yeah. But
I know,
but nonetheless, they didn't have a lot to work with, and I like what they did with it. I just, they did what they could, and they never took themselves seriously, which is why I was kind of like, okay, I can say no one is this much of a stuck-up prig as this guy in real life. No one is much of this much of an obnoxious train wreck, And of course, hitchhikers don't do that. It's like, come on. So
I understand. I mean, the monster truck is cool. That was obviously it's the best part about it. But and I understand films not taking themselves seriously. Like that's okay too. But it was just so the thing that really took me out was the music, because they had rights to 2 songs, and that was it. That was just it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get these 2 songs for an hour and a half. One's a piano emotional one, and another one is just kind of everything else that they need. So you need a romantic scene, you need them being chased, you need them trying to be funny. You're going to get the same music all the way through.
Travis Brown, to correct, eating out a dead cat, not eating a dead cat.
Yes,
eating out a dead cat.
You just had to go there. You just had to make sure and point on the exclamation point. You just had to do it. You couldn't leave well enough alone.
No, had to clarify.
You had to make sure everybody had that fucking image in their head when
pretty much. Pretty much.
Okay? You might as well put up Stitch Face, okay? You know what I'm talking about, Stitch Face. Fucking
nightmare fuel.
Nightmare fuel. Fuck me.
There's a person in there.
I think so. At least a person's skeleton.
It's like some shit out of Friday the 13th, the series.
I mean,
Aaron Reese and demonetized.
We were demonetized an hour ago.
Jokes on them. We weren't monetized in the first place.
We have value.
Fuck you.
Buscemi, Airheads. I know what you're doing. Hey, we got loads of beer.
Because I'm an adult and I can say, fuck you.
No, like I said, this movie, it's a one and done, right? If you've never seen it before, something you can just kind of put on while you're cleaning the house, or paying your taxes, or getting a root canal. This is a thing to watch. Okay. Outside of that, I mean, it's just not. If you want good horror, yeah, that's true. If you want good horror comedy, Shaun of the Dead, that's a good way to go. But this,
it was a time. It's
a time killer. Yeah.
But I will say this: given that you could watch things, but I would say that this movie is not for anybody who is nothing less than just a hardcore horror fan.
Sure.
You got to really love the genre in order to dig on a movie like this, to even see some of the positive qualities that a film like this has. Now, like I said, we always say, we'll give credit to them for getting the movie in the can. That's an excellent thing. The monster truck was a great design. We see it from a filmmaker's perspective, and we say, look at what it took to pull this off. Look what they managed to do. The locations that they scouted, production design was really solid.
Practical effects were good. They were
right.
Really
the practical effects
were
really
solid. Practical effects. Nothing was just way out there. The half guy, where he's missing the torso piece, that was done really well. The monster in the monster truck was done really well. Even the dead cat and all that stuff was done really well. There's a lot of things that they did right. It's just overall as a movie, it's not something that I'm gonna say, hey, you gotta fucking watch this movie. Yeah.
So that's the big thing that I want to jump on. Despite all the things, because we can recognize the stuff, the positive, the positive aspects of the film itself. the vast majority of people out there, they can't. Okay, so this typically, like I said, this is a movie specifically for. Have a good night, Travis Brown. Sorry if the conversation got gross. It does sometimes here, but yeah, my curiosity was I was watching this and I was like, you know what, I can see this stuff, but the vast majority can't. Does a film like this, and the purpose it serves, which is like minimal purpose at all, just for pure entertainment. Does a thing like this actually kind of hurt the genre in and of itself? And you look at it, recently, we have seen a rise in intellectual horror. We've seen stuff like The Lighthouse, The Witch. I know you guys can, Hereditary, a number of horror films, Last Night in Soho. So we've seen a number of horror films that have come up that are really, really elevated, that take horrific things and put them in ways that the mainstream can really, really grab it. And they're really good. These are very talented directors, very strong writers. They know what they're doing, but it's only recently that we have really seen it. And like I said, I could probably name them both on. Well, I mean,
I disagree. I think Eugene would disagree as well. I'm going to let Eugene take this one.
I understand the trend in horror films now, and that's just what is popular on that. But to me, there's always been great horror films and starter horror films just consistently through made. And the reason why I would say a film like this does more harm than good is because if you have somebody who's brand new getting introduced into horror, somebody who's like, Monster Man, let me check this out, and they click on it, and then they go, oh, this is it. Oh, and maybe I'm not a fan of horror films as a whole. And the thing is, like, it doesn't matter if a film doesn't take itself seriously or not, because Shaun of the Dead, for example, doesn't take itself seriously.
Right.
But Shaun of the Dead is still a great film. If somebody's like, man, I'm not a huge fan of horror, I would recommend Shaun of the Dead. Well, why don't you check that out? Because it's more funny and can ease you in, and you can laugh during the gross stuff. Right. Whereas with a film like this, is like, well, are most horror films cheap? Are they most horror films like?
So this is the reason why I say that this movie isn't bad. It's actually good for the horror genre. Even though I didn't particularly care for it, I think it's good for the genre for two reasons. Number one, it lets people know that you can still have fun in a serious genre, right? A movie like this is pure fun. They did not take themselves serious. This was meant for people to have fun, period, right? You know, when you got a movie like Hereditary or Midsommar or The Witch or any of that, those movies are not meant to be fun in the same kind of sense that this movie is meant to be fun. Those are very serious. They have very deep, intellectual conversations that are going on. They're meant to tell you something, meant to get you to reflect on some real life aspect of whatever it is, right? When you go
psychologically,
intellectually, exactly, they want you in, right? They want to pull you into that conversation. Whereas a movie like this, they just want to tell you a quick knock joke and have a little fun and fucking move you on your way, right?
It's kind of like the Hallmark version of romance movies. It's
right.
Like you have this stable of actors to choose. Let's throw Kristen Bell in there. Let's throw that the single dad from Desperate Housewives, and then there's a conflict, and then Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, they get together, kiss. Right. It's Christmas time. Everybody's happy.
Exactly. So, this is the same thing, right? And two, these types of movies make those other ones that are more intellectually stimulating that much better. You can appreciate them that much more. Well, that fucking Monster Man movie was fucking stupid, but this Midsommar movie, fucking hell, it makes me think.
You lower the bar,
right? So you got the bar down here, and all of a sudden you watch Midsommar, like fuck me.
Okay, so like the original Evil Dead, we didn't set the bar very, very high, so that the Fede Alvarez remake could just clear that fucker like nobody's business.
Yeah, exactly. The Fede.
I tell you, that one still, the first 5 minutes still has me just like. I remember watching the first time. I was like, I remember watching The Evil Dead. This is great. Sam Raimi style. It's goofy. It's silly. It's like that. I'm watching that first 5 minutes of the Fede Alvarez.
Like, wow.
What the
fuck? You just burned your daughter at the stake.
All I saw was clearing the hurdle. I didn't realize how low the hurdle was to the ground.
Yeah. Again, to be fair, I could have cleared that hurdle.
I'm sailing.
It's one of those hurdles.
I'm on the West Bank. I'm on the East Bank.
Exactly. Yeah. But no, so I think films like this are good for the horror genre because, again, it allows other people who aren't necessarily huge into the horror film or the horror genres at least passively enjoy something that's silly, gross, you know, and it, like I said, I think we should see more of these types of films in this genre.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, I was saying, I was kind of looking at it, I was like, dang, like, you know, it can be sarcasm brings up interesting, like Lamageddon. It knows what it is and it sticks the landing.
Yeah.
Very true. That's what it's about. And
I
I kind of dig that. I didn't look at it from that perspective. We're going to get a Lamageddon versus Velocipaster. We better. There needs to be a fight between those two. But honestly, I wasn't looking at it from that perspective, and that's really, really good because I was looking from the perspective is like these things are out there, and there's far more of them than there are the stuff that we really, really dig. The shit that we will go and take the time and pay a theater ticket to go out and actually watch in theater to really be engrossed by what we're seeing. And then you turn around and you watch this, and you're kind of like, I was looking from the kind of like the glass half full kind of way. But in actuality, it does help us to appreciate the bigger stuff when it comes along. Is like, you got that filler, just like people love watching Keira Knightley movies. They go to the theater to watch it. They also love Catherine Bell, The Good Witch, and they watch that because it's feel good and it's nice and it's cheaply made and it's not difficult, right. And everything has a good positive outcome. Just like as far as maybe my perspective as a filmmaker has altered it. I can't see it. I was having difficulty seeing it from the audience's perspective.
I mean, you say Keira Knightley, but she was in Collateral Damage, so movie was garbage.
You're talking about was she in the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, right?
No, with Will Smith.
Will Smith.
Exactly. That's how bad this movie is.
Yeah.
I thought it was Collateral.
That's what I said.
You said Collateral Damage. Collateral Damage was a Schwarzenegger film.
Schwarzenegger.
No, Collateral Damage is it. Collateral Beauty. My mistake.
Collateral Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah. We
That's
didn't
exactly
remember.
my point. I don't even remember the name of the.
We didn't remember it either. It's kind of like I punched on the Fire TV and I turned it on. And it was like, ooh, 7 pounds. Will Smith did a movie called 7 Pounds. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that did exist.
With the jellyfish. I completely deleted that from my memory banks.
Yeah. Why would you delete it from your memory banks? Don't you have to have a bar of what? Never mind. Just moving on.
Couldn't even finish the damn joke.
Okay, you're thinking this as a filmmaker, and to me, like the greatest insult to art is apathy. You can love it, you can hate it, but something that's just forgettable. And that's where I think Monster Man falls because I don't have a desire to watch it again. And like, is this something that is this a movie you're going to be thinking about 5 years from now?
I think one of those movies that'll creep up in the middle of the night. Like, I remember watching this movie called Monster Man once. Wasn't there like a fucking dead cat in there somewhere? Oh yeah.
I don't know about that. This movie was like ridiculously hard to find. I did find a DVD copy that I could have gone and bought, but it's like 3.5 hours away, and I wasn't prepared to. I was like, you know what? I don't want to make. I did that once, and I'm not going to do it again. So, I'm not. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to do it for this one. But I was disappointed the last time I fucking did this.
Pieces, yeah, you should have done it.
Okay, yeah. And I've set it here on my desk. It's sitting on my desk
to remind
right
you?
Here to remind me when I have this thought. Dude, don't do it.
That's your Nickelback CD.
This is like you remember. I have it sitting here like this. Like, you remember when this was a good idea?
You gotta find some shady stuff. So I was looking for a really bad film called The Young Van Helsing, not the Young Van Helsing. So it was not on Amazon. It wasn't on any of the DVD platforms. It's not on any streaming service. There's nowhere you can find this thing. So I scoured for about 2 months, and I found a German website that was in German. I got a prepaid credit card, so I don't have actual banking information.
The German
I paid $3.
I found a German website in Cyrillic.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But you know what? That $3 was fucking amazing. Worth it.
Worth it.
Oh,
what's the conversion rate on kroners?
We should have got Deutschmarks, but you can't find them. Yeah, there's like 5 ATMs. Do we have to talk about this movie? Can we move on to the next one?
Do the CTA?
I will. So that's what I wanted to ask. Now, this movie, I'm gonna ask the audience, what is your favorite time killer horror film? Like, what movie is? It's not a. It's not a good movie. It's like a guilty pleasure. What's your favorite guilty pleasure horror film? Let us know in the comment section, in the side chat below, or at weekinhorror@gmail.com, where Alex needs to have pooping material.
That's it.
I have books and books of pooping material.
Oh, I did want to mention one thing I told JL beforehand, right? But you have the sex scene where she quotes Yoda in Yoda's tone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was purposely forgetting about that. Okay, thank you for bringing it back.
Like that mood. I don't care how hot she was.
I mean, out of all the,
it got my attention because I was sitting there like I was kind of like half watching. I was kind of like, okay, she's obligatory tit scene. Wait, there's no tits. There's no tits. She's gonna speak like Yoda. What happened?
Look,
I'm very curious as to how this is going to play out.
I understand what they're going for. Like, I understand, right? Like the trope was, oh, he's super nerdy, so he'd be into Yoda. Not while fucking.
No.
You could have gone like Princess Leia. You could have gone Padme Amidala. You could have gone random, but no, Yoda.
Yeah,
it's like
up Yoda. I would have preferred an X-wing starfighter than Yoda.
Yeah.
Come on, at least Poe Dameron.
With or without the helmet.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Dealer's choice.
Could have gone.
Dealer's choice. You think dealer's choice?
Could have gone so many different routes. Would have been better. Pick the random Ayala Sakura. Okay. But no, Yoda.
Just straight up. Yeah, straight up.
I think you have a misconception of what nerds really are into.
Yeah. I don't recall any nerd like, to Yoda.
Yeah, it could have been worse. It could have been. Glover Mom says it could have been worse. Could have been Jar Jar.
Next.
Misa, love you long time.
Misa, suck your balls.
Yeah, go there. Oh man, we got
Glover Mom started it.
We got some good ones in here. Let me see. Got a lot of love for the Edgar Wright for the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy, for Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and At the World's End. And then I got Jinju says the Nukem High series, favorite time killer, fantastic. Sarcasm said Lamageddon. A lot of love for Lamageddon. Nerd Journal says I have a guilty pleasure for horror movie sequels that are genre shifting to comedy, like The Gate 2.
There were some funny parts of The Gate 2, like the part where he goes to pay the bill and he gets money out of it.
You got it, pal. What is this? Angel Rivera says Creep Show. Wrote in the last name says the 80s The Blob. That was freaky when you watched it as a kid. It really, really was.
Especially when they kill the kid.
Right.
Yeah, man, that kid fucking.
Sarcasm says Mars need women. Ivy Gentry says Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, there's my Jack Burton love up there. I don't know. Wrote in the last name says Cannibal the Musical. Oh, Aaron Reese says Jar Jar Bangs. Misa horny. Jinju says Johnny said that a little too well. Aaron Reese brings up Dave built a maze, and that was really good. If you haven't seen Dave, I think it's like Dave Builds a Maze or something like that. And it's basically about a guy who creates like a cardboard maze. It's this slacker dude who can never complete anything. One day his girlfriend comes home from a business trip and discovers that he's made a maze in his living room, like a cardboard maze in his living room. But when you go inside, it's much bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. And then, a bunch of people go in there and people get lost and people die. And it's totally surreal and actually really, really good. So I think it's Dave Builds a Maze, I think is what it's called, but an amazing comedy horror. Donnie Does That says Lake Placid.
That's a good one.
And Travis Brown says the Michael Bay Transformers series.
Yep.
Yep, that does exist.
Oh, and Ace Jazz Bree says, guilty pleasure, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre for me, and maybe Akira.
I fell asleep during Akira. So boring.
Calories pain is inside me. Fucking weird.
The South Park Trapper Keeper episode where they make fun of Akira was just
the fact that Trapper Keeper and that like 80% of the audience the audience that is under the age of 30 doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, but Trapper Keeper's war.
Trapper Keeper. That's the thing that no, son, it's not.
All right.
That's one of the things that you tell a kid what a Trapper Keeper is, and they're disappointed when they find out. Like, man, I thought that was something so much worse. Like, nope.
Yeah, I thought it was some kind of weird sex position or something like that. No, it's just a notebook.
It's just a notebook. Look at you. Jill, I can't believe I'm on this show. Why, God? Why?
Wait, no, I made this show. I asked for this.
Blood for punishment.
Check. All right. Next. What do we got? Who's next?
Oh, all right. Next. We have a good film.
The only one on the list. I mean,
only one on the list, but we have a good film. And it is released February 13th, 2019. It is Happy Death Day to You, directed by Christopher Landon, starring Jessica Roth, Israel Broussard, Phi Vu, Rudy Modine, and Rachel Matthews. And basically, it is a direct sequel from Happy Death Day after Tree finally solves the whole issue of why she's living Groundhog's Day repeatedly. It goes into a scientific aspect of why, and then she gets sent to another dimension, and she has to make choices and still finds the killer.
I will say, I really, really dug. There's some people that haven't seen this, so we're not going to spoil the plot on this. Well, I mean, okay, we're going to try our best not to spoil the plot on this. But I will also say this. Huh?
That's okay. Then we're done talking about it next.
No, I will say this. There was a week's advance notice about this movie coming up. So
you can't break your own.
No. We said. Yes, you said 5-year rule.
Yeah. I understand that, but it's going to be really, really hard to talk about this movie without, ruining some aspects of it.
You can totally talk about it. You just phrase it like this one person who was in a college attacked somebody this person, he or she may have died.
She or they may or may not die from the...
Maybe it was a gun that stabbed this person through the neck.
Agreed, Nerd Journal, Jessica Roth. Okay, so yeah, following immediately on the heels of the first film, of the first Happy Death Day, and of course, everybody is returned to reprise their roles. And first and foremost, this film is essentially about expanding the universe that the first movie took place in. First movie, essentially, she's stuck in Groundhog Day. It's essentially I like the sarcasm said Groundhog's Day meets Scream, or it's basically like a slasher version of Groundhog's Day. And so she has to, solve who keeps killing her because every time she dies, she resets. Turns out, she figured, in the second film, figures out like what's going on, and she's gotten out of the day. She figures out why exactly it's happening, and of course, the sequence of events goes on. Now, the problem. Like, I have to agree with Johnny on this one. The way they expanded the universe, because the first one was a fantastic blend, was essentially a horror comedy. It was a Scream film meets Groundhog's Day. So the slasher elements were all there. I really, really dug how they captured exactly what the essence of that genre is, while adding the flavor of the comedic elements of Groundhog Day to it. Plus, Jessica Roth, I cannot praise this girl's acting enough for this film. The way she
took a character that you're supposed to hate.
Right. She was a mean girl, is essentially what she was. Mm-hmm. And the arc that she has through this, it wasn't her arc. I will actually say, because it's a slasher film and she's technically a final girl, her arc as the final girl, in my opinion, was actually better than Bill Murray's arc. Because even when Bill Murray was kind of curmudgeonly, he was still funny. And he's still kind of adorable in that curmudgeonly way until he becomes who he's meant to be at the end. That arc is not that huge because it's Bill Murray. We're not going to hate Bill Murray. You should be like, oh, that's Bill Murray having a bad day. It's pretty much it. But Jessica was legitimate. She starts off as a complete and total bitch.
Yeah.
and through the arc of this, finds herself, finds her place, and finds the understanding she never had. Her arc was bigger, deeper, more nuanced. I enjoyed it thoroughly. That was the first film. The second film tries to expand the universe out by adding in this. If I say that, am I going to spoil something?
We've already spoiled it.
It adds. The first film was about Tree, and in my opinion, Tree is one of the best final girls ever because she is one of the most fleshed out characters of final. It's not like, oh, this is the innocent virgin who happens to be the final girl at the very end. Like, her character dynamic is fully fleshed out, three-dimensional character.
Yeah.
And even in the second one, like, I feel like the second one, the story is a little bit weaker because there's a lot of stuff we didn't need. The first one really doesn't explain why she's doing Groundhog's Day. It's just there. And
that's the beauty part about Groundhog's Day, and the beauty part about the first film in this is we don't care.
Yeah.
It's not important. It's not important. Why it's happening is not, or what's causing it to happen is not important, right? Why Bill Murray keeps waking up, not important. Why Tree keeps waking up after, it's not important. It's the journey. It's the thing that she's supposed to learn about herself. That's what's important, which is why I felt like adding a sequel to this thing, following the same characters is just stupid because.
Well, I wouldn't say it was stupid. It just went in a different direction that we weren't anticipating.
It's stupid. And I'm gonna tell you why it's stupid. It's stupid because we learned everything we needed to learn about Tree in the first one. We didn't need anything else. Nothing else was needed. It was a complete story, start to finish. Open, close. She turns from this character whom in traditional horror films you would have seen killed really quickly into a character who, according to, again, the final girl, and she learned something about herself, and the whole story is there. All the pieces that we needed were they were placed.
Right.
And then we go and open the book up again, and turns out there's a chapter that nobody fucking asked for, and it introduced all this bullshit that we don't need. I'm not a fan of this movie because it ruins what the first movie did by adding in this element that nobody fucking asked for. It doesn't make any sense to begin with. It's better that it's a supernatural thing that's happening to her to get her to fucking,
so hang on a sec. So the way I essentially looked at it is that they expanded the universe by essentially taking it more sci-fi than they did slasher. So that's where they went. And the reason that they did this was because I felt it was a way to shoehorn more comedic ways of Tree killing herself. Because that was the highlight of the first film.
Yeah,
is Tree going through the Groundhog's Day deal until she finally gets to the end.
But how
many more different ways can we have her do it? And how can we justify having Jessica Roth in her underwear, jumping out of a plane, shit like that? That was in the trailer, not spoiling anything. So the point being is that they went in a different direction. They unlocked instead of going in the first film, taking Tree from being a mean girl to being, the nice girl, or being the nice girl. That was her arc in the first one. The second film explains why she was the mean girl that she was, and goes into the history as to why she was, and then gives her the moral conundrum that she runs into. Now that we understand now that they've explained the sci-fi aspect that's behind this whole thing. But I didn't feel that was necessary, and they didn't need to go in that particular direction to explore this particular area. So
I gotta say, I don't care. I don't care why she was a mean girl. I don't care about the moral conundrum she runs. This movie did not make me care about. It made me care less about Tree than the first one. The first one I actually have. All right, cool. She's got this, this really negative shit that's happening to her. And she's got to figure it out that drew you in as an audience member, drew you into these characters, and the things that are happening with her friends and the whole way that it's all put together. It's like really inviting. And then this one comes out. And for me, this one comes out and you're watching, I'm thinking, this is the stupidest fucking way to shoehorn in a bunch, like you said, a bunch of different ways for us to watch Tree die again. Like, come on, nobody asked for this. You could have done something completely. You could have anthologized this. Maybe that would have been cheesy, but you could have done something. Maybe it happens to one of her friends. Maybe now her friend is in there, and that's a different thing we can get to. And maybe that's how they could have connected the moral conundrum to Tree, right? One of her friends goes through this supernatural thing that over and over and over again, and Tree having the experiences of going through this already, and then she figures out whatever. They could have gone that route, but the way they went about this one here, it just seemed to me it cheapened the first film. It was really cheesy, and it just made me not care. I just do not care. By the end of the second film, by the end of Happy Death Day to You, I just kill them all. I don't fucking care. Move on.
I'm in the middle because I don't like the way that it was executed. Like, I agree with you in the fact that it doesn't explain it, but the characters are good enough where I just enjoyed watching them. It's like I didn't agree with basically what drove them there. I honestly, I think if it just happened to one of her friends instead, and then it just starts looping, and then the killer can be somebody new or whatever on that. And it has a different killer in the second one than it does in the first one. I would have enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it more. But I still enjoyed watching the characters. I still enjoyed watching Tree deal with some new stuff about her family. I still liked seeing some new dynamics. And even when they introduced some of the other scientist kids, they were still pretty interesting to watch on it. So I wish they went about a different way, but I still enjoyed watching the characters.
Sir Chasm brings up serious Donnie Darko vibes in the second one. They just didn't pull it off as well, and I would have to agree with that. Is that they asked similar questions as Donnie Darko did, but given what Donnie Darko was and what was intended with that film, you've already set the stage because this was a sequel. You've already set the stage. Shifting the tone like that from the first to the second one this movie would have completely bombed because people would have gone in expecting one thing, they would have gotten something completely different, and that wouldn't have worked. So to maintain the tone of the series, they wouldn't be able to go where Donnie Darko went as a standalone film, and that was why. But this very same conundrum that happened between Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You happened with Donnie Darko and Donnie Darko's sister Donnie Darko's sequel when it followed his sister Samantha. They had the exact same thing. Is that it tried to do, and then it fell prey to it. Who was it who said? Wrote It No Less Name brings up the rule of cheap sequels: do the same thing again, either bigger or more complex, or add, in this case, add something to it, like bring something new in. It already was a horror comedy. Now it's trying to be a horror comedy sci-fi film, and so the only thing that saved the sequel, because the sequel actually did quite well at the box office. The only thing that saved the sequel was the strength of the characters in and of themselves. It's the only, the first one was hinged on solid writing, solid directing, a great grasp of the genres, terrific acting. Everything was good. Everything fired on all cylinders in the first film. This one, that's the same reason why Freaky worked so well. Because Freaky is essentially telling the Freaky Friday story, and this was telling you the Groundhog Day story. Freaky did the same thing. It fired on all cylinders. Fantastic writing, fantastic direction. I don't think they're planning a sequel to Freaky, which they shouldn't. But they're doing it with this one because, unfortunately, that's kind of the Blumhouse thing. If you find something that wins, that's what Blumhouse does. They have these one here, one here, one here, one here, and they're amazing movies. What do you do to fill the gap? If it really goes, then just sequel. Try to expand the universe in that. The only reason we have a Conjuring universe is because of the success of The Conjuring. The same thing with Insidious. The only reason we are about to have 5 Insidious films is because the first one was so amazing. But you fall prey to that.
But do you see what happened to the Conjuring series and Insidious? It gets weaker and weaker. I mean, it's the same thing when
it's diminishing returns.
Yeah, right. So if you look, I mean, the same thing has happened to we look at the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and Hellraiser and all that. So we look at them with a more of a nostalgic eye because that was kind of what was out when we were growing up. But if we were to actually look at them critically, they get worse and worse and worse and worse. With a couple of shining spots here and there in the the timeline of the films, but within Nightmare on Elm Street, you have the first, the third, and the seventh, and everything else in between is kind of garbage. Same thing with Friday the 13th. The first, the second are really good. The sixth is, number 7 is pretty cool. And then everything else is kind of garbage.
6 and 7 were fantastic.
6 and 7.
That was going to speak. C.J. Graham and Kane, and the introduction of Kane Hodder. Right there, those two. And then the rest, kind of like dipped.
So it's like I said, it just you run into that problem when you keep just churning out sequels because it just becomes a cash grab.
Right.
At the end of the day, why do we have, was it 11 Friday the 13th and 9 Nightmare on Elm Streets? And it's a cash grab. Same thing with Insidious, same thing with The Conjuring. Look, that fucking Annabelle series was fucking stupid. It was bad. It's awful.
And we still have another one coming out.
And we have another one coming out.
Yeah.
Another, was it the 4th film of a doll that doesn't fucking do anything? How many fucking scary movies are we going to make about a doll who just sits there?
Right. Ivy Gentry says Wes Craven's New Nightmare was amazing, though. That was at the height of pretty much Wes Craven's like kind of meta phase.
137.
That was 7. Yeah, 7 was amazing. Yeah, and it was kind of the height of like Wes Craven's meta phase. It was like, let's go meta this shit.
That was the beginning of his meta phase, actually, because
it was the beginning.
It was the beginning of it, because, and that's the reason why
that came out before Scream, because Scream was 96.
Yeah. New Nightmare came out before Scream.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. New Nightmare was not respected when it came out. People did not like it. It didn't do so well. People went to the box office and watched it because it was, it was a Nightmare on Elm Street film, but it wasn't
2 years before.
Exactly. It wasn't as well received. But looking back on it, it was great because of the meta aspect. And then, it gets there.
This is going to make House Party 3 look like House Party 5. Remind me, what's that quote from? I can't.
Jesus Christ.
Because then it's followed up with, or House Party 6. Shut the fuck
up. I can't remember.
I can't.
I can't recall. What is this? Aaron Reed says, when do we get Annabelle versus Crochet Face?
This is the movie. Roll credit. Oh, so scary.
Oh my God. They look at each other.
Nerd
Journal
for
an hour and a half.
Nerd Journal says, I thought they were going to make a Crooked Man movie in the Conjuring universe, and I hear that they are. I've heard that they're going in that direction. I'm just not sure what the current status of it is. So not 100% sure. But yeah, that was the major thing, and I'm really, really curious because the 3rd movie is coming out, and there is in active development. Happy Death Day to Us. So I don't know if it's going to complete the trilogy or whatever, but we are going to get a 3rd one. And at this point, in my opinion, despite the fact that it's a nice, clean film, until in my opinion, they've lost the plot. And the second one is hinging solely upon the strength of their actors alone. But how far can that take you when your characters are kind of the sequel kind of pigeonholed everybody? Now everybody is kind of in this, like, jammed in this one particular way. This is the way you're going to react. I also didn't agree, and we won't spoil it for anybody. I didn't agree with Tree's decision about Danielle. That's one thing
now
that
they
I did
know
not
there's
like.
going to be a decision. My goodness. Spoiler alert.
They know there's a character named Danielle.
Danielle was in the first movie.
You're just busting your balls.
But I don't, and that kind of was like, wait a minute. Given what she learned in the first film, she wouldn't do that.
Well, so that's one of the things that that's one of the things that I fall back on when talking about this film is they ruin some of the character development that happened in the first film. They just ruin it. They, by this particular piece that we're talking about, I almost forgot about it, but we're almost turning her back into a mean girl.
Right.
Like she's going back, she's reverting, and that's not the point of the Groundhog story.
I don't know where they're going to go with it, but
I don't know. The thing is,
bargain bin.
Still gonna watch it.
No.
Yeah, I'll still watch it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank goodness for VOD.
oh, VOD. Gotcha.
I know you're making a joke. I don't know what it is.
Doesn't matter. Just move on.
So, I'd like to actually ask the audience, are you excited for the 3rd film of the Happy Death Day franchise on it? I'm going to be a little excited about it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be a little excited about it. I'll give it a thumbs up on that. So I will. So I'm excited about the third film, but definitely let us know in the comments below or shoot us in an email at weekinhorror@gmail.com if you're excited for the third Happy Death Day film.
Don't just say yes or no. Tell us why. Because
tell us why.
I'm curious why. Yeah, if you are legitimately curious about the third, like you know what, they've set up something interesting. I'm looking forward to the third one. Or no, they're going to ruin it and it's going to do what typically the third films do, and it's just going to destroy it. So far, as far as I can tell, the only series that's ever managed to go 1, 2, 3 has been Spider-Man. So. Oh, wait, that was it. Donnie does that. That's an interesting question. Why are we worried about spoilers while reviewing a movie on a movie review show?
That's his rule.
That was our collectively agreed upon rule.
I never was asked because, I would have said, fuck him. I'll tell the whole goddamn
Do you remember how much shit I got for the movie that I spoiled?
Yeah, because you made a rule and broke it.
Okay, so Donnie so Donnie does that. Oh, Jinju says, "Happy Death Day to you, 3 in space."
They gotta go to space. I mean, come on.
Nerd Journal says, "Is Jessica Roth in it? If yes, then my answer is yes, and that's also the reason. I'm shallow."
No, that's a perfectly good reason.
It's a perfectly good reason.
She really is a good actress. She
actually really is.
Very talented. I will say, okay, so Donnie does that.
Yes, she will be in the third one.
I will say this. The reason why is because we kind of agreed, and I think this actually may have been before even Johnny came on the show.
It was.
And where the three of us were me, Eugene, and Alex, that we agreed that we would put a moratorium on spoiling movies that had been released within the last 5 years. So 5 years have got to pass, and then it's anybody's game. But if a movie has been out, because sometimes people just don't get the opportunity to see movies. They're not like, obviously not everybody is like us, where we spend most of our time watching movies, both as filmmakers and as fans. So we wanted to put a moratorium on there so we didn't ruin something for somebody that they hadn't seen yet. However, I tried to bridge that kind of gap between that by putting out a week in advance what movies we're going to talk about. That's why we started doing that at the end of the show, and we put it up in the community tab as well. So if you're following us, if you're subscribed on if you're subscribed on the YouTube channel, you'll get the notification when it goes out. At the end of every show, we put out the next 4 movies that we're going to talk about so that you have an opportunity to watch them before we start talking about them. But if you're not able to get them, that's okay. That's why the moratorium is still in place for this very reason. That's why we decided on that.
Really, it's only really a handful of films, because if a film's like really bad or we don't care about this, like whatever. But I remember we talked about the Autopsy of Jane Doe, which is was a fucking amazing. I rewatched it again a couple days ago. It's a fucking amazing, and it was like that was the type of film that you don't want to spoil because of the huge twist it has at the end. And if Monster Man came out 3 years ago, I don't care.
What movie was it that I totally spoiled? That I just fucking just blew the doors clean off?
This was like a month ago, wasn't it?
It was like a month ago, I think. I can't remember what movie it was.
I'd have to
go back and look. But
I mean, honestly, I don't care that much because, again, like Donnie says, it's a bunch of nerd filmmakers talking about the film. How can we talk about a film that if we can't talk about the goddamn film? So I'm kind of there. I don't care about spoilers. People, like all these assholes that get all fucking bent out of shape because they jump on Facebook and find, I can't believe they put spoiled episode of whatever show I'm watching. Well, this is going to happen. Say your fucking ass off Facebook.
Charlie Welch says Metallica remakes. Moratorium.
Yep. I concur.
I will say, what Road No Last Name, we talked about the Jane Bond sequel. I did recently watch the No Time to Die. Really good Bond movie.
It was. Really, although I've run into a few people on Discord who know that, not on the Week in Horror Chat, but on other channels that I'm in who know what I do here. And they're like, hey, man, what did you think of the ending of that? Can you fucking believe that? And I'm like, yeah, I thought it was a great way for them to kind of like, give Daniel Craig a send-off. It's like, fuck that, man. Bond doesn't die, blah, blah, blah. I was like, holy shit. So.
Damn. Like.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, it's not a horror movie, so I'm okay with that.
I don't care about spoiling shit movies.
Ronan No Last Name says, spoiling a mediocre movie? Fuck them.
Fuck them.
I approve.
I will say this because it opens the door because I want Idris Elba as Bond. I want that badly. Like in a deep personal way.
I mean,
that's just me.
Like in your bedroom, personal.
I'll actively watch Bond again if Idris Elba is my Bond. So. Nerd Journal says, "Oof!" And I was gonna watch that as soon as the stream ended.
Well, shit. Or does he?
Nerd Journal. It's not about
we'll walk this back. Just say, I'm sorry, I fucked up.
It's not about where you're going. It's about the journey.
That's what people say when they don't like the destination.
Yeah. It's not about, that's the word I was looking for. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. The real adventure was the friends we made along the way. I can't even finish that.
No, you can't. Like I said, don't try and walk it back. Just sorry.
All right.
What do we got next?
Well, yes. Let's jump on to our next one.
Can we make this the last one, please?
Travis Brown says, Jaw still lives.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So, yes, for our next film, released February 15th, 2007, we have the horror film Chill. So, directed by Serge Radnonsky and Serge. I'm not. Stop. Just stop. Based on Cool Air by H.P. Lovecraft, starring Thomas Calabro, Ashley Lawrence, and James Russo. Surprisingly, the film is essentially a loose adaptation of the H.P. Lovecraft short novella Cool Air, where essentially a kind of drifter dude played by Thomas Calabro becomes the new. I think it's. Make sure I got that right. Yes, played by Thomas Calabro, becomes the new clerk, takes a job as a clerk in a kind of like convenience store. But it turns out he also needs to be the maintenance man for the person who owns the place, which turns out to be this nefarious doctor who has discovered discovered a method of keeping himself alive indefinitely. But he needs to keep himself cold, but basically by transplanting skin onto his body. But he has to keep himself refrigerated to do so. And the refrigeration system has started to fail. And he, being our drifter hero, becomes embroiled into that and also a number of other issues. And yes, Ashley Lawrence. Embroiled?
Interesting.
I couldn't think of another. That's hot. This is cold.
Yeah,
I couldn't think of another way to bring it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Ashley Lawrence from the Hellraiser series is in this as well, which is interesting given the budget on this bad boy.
Well, hang on a second. Time the fuck out. It's not like Ashley Lawrence is some A-list. I can demand millions of dollars a role. After Hellraiser, what the fuck has she done? I mean, come on. I think we could get Ashley Lawrence. Say, hey, we'll give you 3 hots and a cot for 2 days. I'll be there.
I can eat this month. So
all the hot pockets you can eat.
Which sadly, for sometimes it's like that. It's like that.
We make fun of it, but
we make fun of it because it's funny because it's true. But I will say this one. Obviously, adapting Lovecraft not easy to do. Nope. And oftentimes they fall into sexploitation, they fall into goofiness. Some of them are just, or something they try to do a gross out thing where it's like, oh, that's disgusting. I saw a recent one on HBO that just put like the gore and the gross over the top, and tried to sell this because there wasn't really much else behind it.
Wait, aren't you the same person that showed that movie?
That was a good movie with good character development.
Castle Freak was not a good movie with good characters.
I thought you meant the box.
No, that was not good either.
Anyway, but I will say this: for the limited budget that they had to work with here, this one was not bad. It wasn't bad at all because adapting Lovecraft is incredibly difficult. Now I could probably name a handful of solid ones like Dagon, like Stuart Gordon's Dagon. Obviously, Richard Stanley's work, The Color Out of Space, really, really good. I saw an adaptation of the Evil Old Man, which is not bad at all. And of course, I actually am a fan of the original Castle Freak more than I am of the remake. But there's been some decent ones, but vast majority of them were just really, really bad because they do what?
Reanimator.
Oh, Reanimator, Jeffrey Combs. Yeah, there's a handful of them that are really, really solid. But some of them just don't hit. I'm really curious about what's going to happen with the Dumb Witch Horror that's coming out later on from Richard Stanley as well under Spectre Vision. But this one, low budget, only hit the festival circuit, then saw a DVD release, was not bad. For production values, what they got, they worked with what they had. I mean, acting was decent. I mean, don't really need to go too far with a Lovecraft tale, but I think they managed to pull this one off. I think it may have been because
they didn't get just anybody to read a script. So they got
but I think it's because they didn't rely so heavily on the source material. They took elements from it, but not too much, because over-reliance on the source material may bog the film down. Trying to get all that nuance and all that character in there and all those little details can kind of it can be an anchor that holds you, that weighs you down. I think that may have been the success here. Considering this was back in 2007, such a long time ago, they didn't overdo it. I think that's back then that was the only way to really adapt something, especially something as heady as Lovecraft.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree on that, just because Lovecraft is so difficult to adapt that you can really only do something very loosely. And maybe unless you really, really are able to pick the right story.
If you don't care about censorship issues, then you can really dive into it. Like the ones that were done well, like Reanimator, didn't give two shits about whether they were going to get slapped with a nasty rating or not.
Right.
When you have a severed head eating out a woman in your movie, you don't give a shit about. What about the rating system? So that's one thing you've got to be willing to take big risks doing Lovecraft.
Right. I mean, you've got to be willing to push the boundaries. It takes a mind like Stuart Gordon or Brian Yuzna or Richard Stanley to go in those directions and do that. That's why I mean, but it also may have been just because of the lack of technology to pull off what Lovecraft and what was going on in Lovecraft's mind took an advancement in technology that did not exist in the early 2000s. I would say this one in early 2007. The tech just wasn't there. People did not, the majority of filmmakers didn't have access to that level of computer technology. We're now, how many years? 15 years later, and obviously, I could do some next level stuff on my rig here at home, but not in 2007 when I was 4 years out of film school. There's no way. So I like that they did what they could with what they had, and obviously being Lovecraft, it's going to be pigeonholed. Not a lot of people are going to, it's a certain kind of taste. But I dug the practical effects. They worked with what they had. I thought Ashley Lawrence was kind of a weird addition to the cast. That storyline with the cop who was after her and everything, I thought that was kind of odd.
Well, they brought her in to be the TNA of the film, even though
and to be the draw. Ashley Lawrence.
Yeah, right.
Which is weird because none of the marketing, it doesn't really say Ashley Lawrence is in this from Hellraiser.
Yeah,
it never says that in any of the marketing. In fact,
career kind of went a little weird after Hellraiser, and by a little weird, I mean a lot weird.
But I think one of the cool things about this movie is that for us, as filmmakers, and going back and watching this again, I was kind of like, dude, just what, looking at the set design is the big thing. And I know Eugene is a huge thing about your set design and your art department. They bring your set to life. Like they are the ones that populate everything around your actors.
They're
play
the ones that make sure that the Starbucks coffee cup isn't in frame.
Isn't in frame.
In frame. Well, the thing is like a lot of filmmakers, especially beginning filmmakers, they want to focus on lights and cameras. So they'll go and they'll buy these 8K red these red helium cameras or these Arri Alexa minis, and they're like, oh man, now no matter what I look at, it looks good. And they wonder why the movie still looks cheap, is because an Arri Alexa pointed at a blank white wall is still a blank white
wall. Yeah, exactly.
It's just in really high resolution. And so
now you really see that blank white wall.
Yeah, oh man, that white wall is crisp.
Holy shit, that's the blankest, whitest wall I've ever seen.
Look at that. And so honestly, the biggest thing in terms of getting production value out of your films is the art department. Art directors are so overlooked in no budget and independent films. Like just getting the right location, getting a house that actually has character to it, not just shooting it in, say, your tiny 1-bedroom apartment. That alone can up your production value. So it doesn't feel like, hey, all they can afford was the director's apartment versus, oh, this is a house I see this character live in. You look at Hollywood films, you're not getting blank white walls. Unless it's something like maybe a film that's real sterile or intentional on it. Maybe something like Equilibrium that has to be basic. But other than that, you're not getting blank houses. You're not getting 1-bedroom apartments with no furniture, or you're not getting stuff like that. So art department, focus on that.
Right. And here's a little tip. If you are in that position where all you have are blank white walls, you can get a couple of cans of paint. Simply painting the walls just adds production value.
Yeah. Bruno's name says, shit, you just spoiled my upcoming film, The Big White Wall Massacre. Well, and I know that for this very reason, and what I dig about this movie is that, especially for first-time filmmakers, and we will always recommend a movie to people who are coming into the industry, who are trying to get a sense of what they want to do and what to do with, especially with very little money. Everybody who comes into this industry firsthand, unless you are very, very lucky or you're born into it, you're going to have to start from essentially from square one. You're going to be making your own stuff. You're going to be making your own opportunities. There are lots of examples out there, especially in the horror genre, of how you can pull that off. And this one, I think, is one of those. When you watch the film, watch it a couple of times. I've seen it. I think I've seen it like 3 or 4 myself. When you watch it the first time for the story itself. Just like watch it for the movie. The second time, watch through and see how they make the scenes work. One thing that I think, and I did not read about this in any kind of review for this film, that I think a lot of people missed, but I actually really, really dug. I don't know if it was just me or not. Whenever they shoot the building, the actual like shop, the convenience store that he's the clerk in, whenever they shoot that, it from the outside, the place looks very, very small. But when they go on the inside, it is phenomenally larger on the inside than it is on the outside. And this is an H.P. Lovecraft story where the geometry of things doesn't really suss out. And you don't know why, and there's never an explanation for it because of interdimensional space or whatever H.P. Lovecraft.
That's that Kubrick thing, right? Stanley Kubrick was a master of doing that. Like you see that kind of shit all over movies like The Shining, movies like Clockwork Orange, all that shit, right? It's supposed to be visually jarring, but you don't know why. You don't know what's visually jarring about it. Like The Shining, when Danny Torrance is going down this hallway with rooms that physically cannot exist in this hotel that has already been laid out for you. Like these he's going down this hallway. Here's this grand, auditorium, this grand mall. And then he hits a hallway where doors that, if you open them and walk through, should you be falling off into this grand mall. It's little subtle things like that help with the psychological reach of a film. So when you have a movie like this, like Chill, that you see this outside little tiny 7-Eleven, not really 7-Eleven, but tiny little shop, and you get in there and it's bigger on the inside than what your mind tells you it is, all of a sudden that plants that seed of creepiness. It starts to, that internal terror starts kind of taking over because you're in a place that should not exist based on what you've seen. It goes against your senses, that's part of that mindfuck process.
I thought they captured it really, really well. There was a book that I read, a horror novel that I read. Daniel Lazuski, I think, was the writer, called House of Leaves, where ostensibly the story follows pretty much the kind of not a similar premise to this, but about a man who buys a house and his family moves into it, and then while doing renovation on the house, he's doing measurements on the outside of the house and measurements on the inside to determine, spatial allotment, and discovers that the inside measurements of the house are larger than the outside measurements, and this shouldn't be possible. And then from that moment, his slow descent into insanity. And so, because you can't reconcile it. It's like, that can't happen, but you're literally looking at this thing, and it turns out the house is much, much larger. The house is growing, right. It's absolutely, things just get wildly out of control. But in this respect, I like the little nuances they did. These are the cool things that you could do when you don't have the budget to really, really work with, to really do a cool visual effects. You do subtle things. You let your sets play for you, because they're as much a character as anybody else. And that's why I wanted to bring up, because Eugene was talking about it. You can make up for low budget with fantastic set design. Mm-hmm. Just finding the right things to put in the right places with the right lighting. And you can turn, like you said, what looks like a small space into a much grander space. It's kind of like, well, wait a minute. Mm-hmm. A movie like Black Mountainside, also a really fantastic Lovecraftian story. Not really an adaptation, but a Lovecraftian kind of movie. Did that very same thing, just with light. Where you put your shadows, where you let your light play, and the dichotomies that it creates in the space. They were brilliant at that. And that was one of the things that made that movie so amazing, which why I'll always say, if you haven't seen Black Mountainside, go see it. Also very, very low budget. Very simply made. Not even a lot of gore in it either. I think one guy gets his arm chopped off. That's pretty much it. So
those are the best. I think those are better. So much better. Saw, like the original Saw. I always lean on this one here, because there's just enough gore in Saw to get your mind working. But like when Dr. Gordon cuts off his foot, you don't see that shit.
Yeah.
But it's terrifying because your mind is putting together the pieces. The part where Officer Murtaugh, I know that's not his character.
Yeah.
But when his partner gets his head blown off by the shotgun trap, it happens just off screen. And you see that little jerk of the body and all that. It's terrifying. That stuff, when you can master those things, your storytelling is going to be so much better, which is why I think that every big filmmaker should start out with a very limited budget, a shoestring budget, to find out what they can do. What they can do, little resources.
And I mean, I agree. And as I've been on this filmmaking journey, is I've realized I'm taking more influence from films, from the lower budget films, because you're not going to get Interstellar money. You're just not on it, and
not your first, second, third, fifth,
not
10th film.
On that. Yeah, Christopher Nolan's a fantastic director, and Denis Villeneuve, and all of those, they're fantastic, and all this other kind of stuff.
Right.
But you have to learn how to make the most of basically nothing. So leaning more towards the films that are a couple $100,000. And listen, it's $100,000 recorded budget, but actually maybe cost $5,000. They're films that they're shooting in their friend's basement. They're shooting on their street. They're shooting in the apartment. They're shooting at a bar that a buddy owns or their parents own, and make the most of it. And those are the Evil Deads, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, the Night of the Living Dead. Those, as a filmmaker, are the ones that you should draw influence on, because you can do those. With your budget, if you have a camera, a computer, and a script, you can do Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah. I mean, even just a little bit of vision. Again, drawing back on Saw, what most people don't realize is every piece of that movie was filmed at one location. One location. That one building had everything they needed. Everything. The police station, the dirty, grungy bathroom, the hospital, all of it. Boom. Right there in that one spot. And if you can find a space like that and learn how to utilize the little tools that you have, that whole film they filmed that in 18 days. Extrapolate that. You got Danny Glover, you've got Robin Hood, Men in Tights,
Carrie Elwes.
I know his name is Carrie Elwes. I just like saying Robin Hood Man.
Because unlike other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
When you have these this top talent in this practically no budget film, when you look at what you got in a movie like Saw, that movie had, I think, a $500,000 budget.
I think, I think it was on the
It was under sub 1 million, and look what they did with that. So
and 500,000 like today, like that's like shoestring. That's like no money.
Even then, it was still shoestring. I mean, when you're considering they got Danny Glover, who at the time may not have been like big pull A-lister, but he's still Danny fucking Glover.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That cost them that's a good chunk of their budget. So it's doing stuff like this, being able to take $1 and turning it into $100. It's so important for filmmaking. When we talk about good for the genre, bad for the genre, movies like this are great for the genre because it shows you that you don't necessarily need interstellar money to make a good film.
Aaron Reese brings up, you're talking, like Clerks movie. It's resource filmmaking is what it is.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Where did Clerks take place? A single location inside a convenience store. And they actually kind of, if you watch, it's a comedy. If you watch Zach and Mary make a porno, it's the exact same kind of mentality, whereas in like, look at all of this production value that we have, you know, just sitting all around us in this one location. That's what it's about, being able to find these things.
Yep.
So in this case, this kind of filmmaking teaches you how much you have to rely upon the people that are behind the scenes in order to make your movie possible. It's not just about your script. It's not totally about your acting. It's about every other person behind that camera who is running around. Your lighting, your sound, all of your grips, your freaking cameraman, your DP, your assistant cameras, assistant directors, and of course your set designers, art designers, everybody doing their jobs to find those little pieces. And one of the best ones I've had the opportunity of working on and writing for, Eugene's choice, Megan, is fantastic at what she does. I love what she does. Every time I've seen her work, and you've probably worked with her more than I have, Eugene.
Yeah, I mean, it's the resources. Even for those of you who have seen Nail Gun, she found that off of I think it was off of like Facebook Marketplace on it, and the entire rig with the nail gun and the air tank and the backpack and all that cost $40. The entire all of it.
That shit's important. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta have those people that have that eye for, I can take that whatever that piece of junk is, and I could turn it into something useful. That's so important.
Kind of like if someone mentioned in the chat, like Cube, because Cube, like the Canadian horror film, one of my favorites. I absolutely love Cube.
Yeah.
I love Cube. One room was built for that. One room.
Yeah.
With the different doors that open up on each one, and then to change the colors of the room, they just slid gels in front of the lights that were built into the walls. So you had white, that's how they changed the colors. Okay, we got to go to the next room. Shoot all the orange rooms.
Yep.
Shoot all these rooms like that. You just knock them out. And then so they built one room that the actors could play in, and then they built one miniature giant one to represent the actual physical cube, which really wasn't even that big because they can use miniatures in that one. Practical effects were amazing in that thing. And then they did a little bit of like the green screen to create the kind of mirror effect of like the rooms behind them. But nonetheless, that's very, very small. Otherwise, it was the characters in a room. It was essentially like black box acting, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
Utilize what you get. Because I even love we talk about Clerks. I mean, with Clerks, Kevin Smith worked at that convenience store. And so it closed at night, so he filmed at night. That's why most movie takes place at night, because that's when the store is closed. He shot it in black and white because it's just cheaper. It's not a stylistic choice in any way.
It was so smart. He shot it in black and white. Has this artistic thing. He's like, yeah, it does.
It's the same. It was the same Romero thing, right? Romero, when he did Night of the Living Dead, wanted to do in color, but color film stock was stupid. It was like 4 or 5 times what black and white film stock was. So he went with the cheaper option. You're like, oh, it's so great decision. Like, yeah, great decision because I couldn't fucking afford it.
That was the only way it's gonna get made. That's
true.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I see Sketch Crashers jumped in there. Hello, Sketch Crasher. Good to see you. And I saw that Sir Little Wolf jumped in as well. I didn't get a chance to say hi. Thank you for coming in, Sir Little Wolf. Sarcasm. Oh, it was it wrote a no less name. Dang it, keeps moving on me. Said, if I remember correctly, Cube used 2 rooms. I think it was either 1 or 2. I just know that they didn't have to construct a whole lot for that movie. But
it might have been so they can crawl from one room into the
other.
other.
Crawl from one room to the next.
Yeah,
and I remember some saying that they would often set up a green screen just so they could create an effect there that looked like that. But they didn't use it a lot because they didn't have to. So maybe it was to do like the up and the down to get those effects. I get that. But otherwise, that's how you do it. Resource filmmaking, pretty much it. And I thought I saw somebody else.
H. Jasper E.
No, I thought. I apologize. I misread something. I thought Elizabeth had joined the chat. So my bad.
A toll is a toll, and a roll is a roll. And if we don't get no toll, then we don't eat no rolls.
I'll make that up. So let me ask this the audience real quick. So Cool Air, so Chill came out in 2007, and this particular story has not been adapted since. No one's really touched it. It could be adapted again. I'm kind of curious, want to get the audience's opinion on this one. Do y'all think that this movie could be adapted again and done better given the advent of technology today and the way we can do visual storytelling? Or should this one be left alone? Because there's a lot of Lovecraft out there that does not get adapted. Like I can't remember the last time. I don't think anybody's ever adapted like The Rats in the Walls. So I'm kind of curious. Do y'all think that this one could be adapted again, given the advent of technology, given better technology, better visual storytelling, or like most other ones, should it be left alone and then let some of like Color Out of Space, Dunwich Horror, At the Mountains of Madness? I saw a mention of that. Leave it to those ones, but the smaller stuff we shouldn't touch. Let us know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Honestly, I'm looking forward to the possibility of Del Toro's At the Mountains of Madness. I actually suspect, because Richard Stanley got Color Out of Space, he's got Dunwich Horror coming up next for Spectrovision, and it's supposed to be a 3 picture deal. I'm thinking At the Mountains of Madness is going to be his 3rd one. I think. I'm just guessing there. Maybe. I don't know.
You're hoping?
I hope it will be, because I want it. But if anybody were to handle it, I want Del Toro on that picture. Fucking A.
It's got an interesting way to tell a horror story.
Mm-hmm. Chris Durham, Music Channel, says, what are we talking about? Sorry, ADHD kicked in again, and I started playing some Chopin. Frederick fucking Chopin.
That's the best way to listen to us.
Absolutely.
Sarcasm says, I honestly think it can be done better. I would like to see another adaptation. That's a good thing. If the movie's not,
I wouldn't be opposed to it. You know what I mean? Because Chill is one of those movies that you don't really remember seeing when you watched it. There's nothing to stand out about it. You know what I mean? So that's one of those films where the bar, you can be better. You can be better than the original movie, right? So the bar is really kind of like here, and it's going to be one of those ones that'll be easier to make a remake, and it's so much better than the original. So I think this is one of the ones they can get away with.
Yeah, agreed.
Nerd Journal says, could it? Yeah, could it or should it? Your filmmakers were so busy wanting to know whether or not they could, they didn't stop thinking they should.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got one more to jump onto, and even though it's getting like kind of close to the show, I know we don't have much to say about this particular one, but we're going to cover it anyway because
it's a movie. Time for the trivia.
We got to cover the bad ones as much as we cover the good ones. So, Johnny, I gave you both bad ones this week. Just that look on his face.
Directed by Brett Leonard.
You don't even give a date, title.
Written by Leonard and Gilmore Everett. Starring Jeff Fahey. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong movie. Or is it? The Mangler 2 is a 2002 Canadian horror film. Direct to the Trash Bin, sequel to the 1995 theatrical release, The Mangler, which is based on a 1972 short story of the same name. Starring Lance Henriksen. He must have been hard up for cash.
Somebody had some blackmail on him.
Yeah, I think so. Chelsea Swan, Philippe Begrudron, whatever the fuck his name is, Dexter Bell, David, who cares? This movie sucks.
He's not wrong.
Look, okay. I often get a lot of shit about my opinions on this show, but can you blame me? You always give me the shit ones. You never give me I don't get Happy Death Day 2. I don't get I get this. This is what I get. And I'm supposed to be excited.
You have gotten good movies before. We have all tasted shit.
One.
We have all tasted shit on this show.
You can't name one, JL. Joanne Joe Newton, a girl desperate for attention from her workaholic father, ends up going to an upper-class private boarding school after a break-in at her dad's computer company. The school is getting ready to install a new security system. Joe and several other students are to remain behind while the others leave for spring break as punishment from the school's dean, headmaster Braden, also known as the Lance Hendrickson. However, Joe, with her knowledge of computers, has hacked into the school's mainframe and unleashed a super virus called Mangler 2.0 into the security system. And I wish I could say this is where shit gets real, but it does, but it doesn't.
Shit gets stupid.
It gets
really dumb.
It gets really bad. It's
you know what? Yeah, I had points to make about this movie, but I don't even think it was okay.
So your point about this movie is why I started reading the original thing I started reading.
Okay.
When I talked about
Lawnmower
directed by Brent Leonard, written by Leonard and Gil Everett, starring Jeff Fahey. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. That was a big thing. I wrote it. No, last name says Lance Hendrickson had community service hours to fill.
Somebody had photos of him doing something. I don't know.
Pouring coffee out. That's what it was.
Let's just straight up say what it is. This fucking movie is one of the laziest, most unbecoming, lost cause motherfucking pictures I've ever had the displeasure of watching. Not only wasn't like it was bad, it was so bad. I'm like, God damn, this movie's bad, but I'm still watching it. It wasn't even like that. This thing was I had this thing going on in the background while I was writing a fucking script for another goddamn movie, while I was listening to music. And I still was able to follow everything that went on in the damn plot. And I didn't even have to watch because it doesn't fucking show anything. The fucking thing doesn't show a goddamn kill. Everything is left to your imagination. This is supposed to be a Mangler film. It doesn't even have anything to do with the first movie.
Yeah, nothing.
When I said that if you can master the goreless kill, or the point that I made about Saw and how it was so, because everything kind of happened. Right. Everything kind of just okay. They took that advice and fucking took it to the extreme. Oh, wait. It's better if we don't show the kill. Awesome. We're not going to show you fucking thing. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Not even some ketchup.
Just have sound. Just drop some Foleys in there and throw blood at a wall.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, at least in Saw, the kills make sense. You have a girl that's in a kitchen, and this cable wraps around her neck and then pulls her up. But she's in a fucking kitchen. The ceiling's 8 feet tall.
But she goes away.
Where is she gonna go?
Yeah.
It pulled her straight out of fucking continuity. That's where it pulled her from, because the movie didn't need her anymore.
We've seen enough of your tits, so here.
You're unnecessary. You're gone.
Yeah.
It was like a fucking hook just came out and took her away.
Yeah. Red light. No, I'm still going to tell my folks. Red light. No. Hook.
I don't get nothing. It wasn't even bad to the point of enjoyable. It wasn't like someone just said. Donnie does that. Says, wait, what? How was this a sequel? Am I remembering wrong? Wasn't the first one about a possessed sheet folding machine that demanded feeding? You are correct.
Yes.
And even that's kind of a loose adaptation of the Stephen King story, because at the end of that one, the thing went marauding across town, which was really, really weird. But in this particular one, it's a fucking virus. And the virus is called Mangler for some reason, which makes no sense. And then, why?
It talks to you. And
then you got Lance Hendrickson, who goes, correct me if I'm wrong, went from going into his office, let's do this, like this. And then all of a sudden, he's wired to the fucking thing. I've become the machine, and like this. And then the obligatory, I'm going to spray a bunch of white shit out of my mouth. It's like a hallmark to fucking aliens.
And the fact that they defeat him, so she like stabs him in the chest with a knife, and then they kick him into a wall.
That's it.
That's it. That it's not like
she stuck a Michael Myers fucking butcher knife in this dude's gut like twice, and he's like, "Oh, I feel like this," but he blocks the fire extinguisher hit. So the guy's coming forward, like she snuck the knife on him, was like, and he's like, "Oh." But then, like, the guy comes in, but he's like, "Oh, it doesn't hurt me. Oh, I'm invincible and shit." And then the bodyguard comes at him with the fucking fire extinguisher, and he blocks it. What are you doing? And then she does like this fucking like Liu Kang kick or some shit that sends him across the fucking room, and then he dies.
I love the fact how where the guy drives through the gate, right? And it's like, okay, so he's like, oh, I'm gonna drive the car to the gate. And then it was like they couldn't afford him anymore. So you had the chef get out and goes, oh, he's okay. And they just never show the other guy.
They never show him again.
Never.
The continuity hook came out and grabbed him. We don't need you.
They don't show the chef again either. The chef, he's like, he hops over the fence and he watched the other guy die, and he's like, oh man. And then done.
None whatsoever.
Fuck it, I'm out.
I don't understand. I wrote it out saying, was it blood splatter on a white wall? It would have been if they had not made everything fucking blue. Like the whole thing was cast had like this kind of like blue filter on it to make it look like
like technology, right? So that's a color that they have.
Right. But I think it's also to cover the fact that they have no goddamn effects, and the effects look like shit.
If it were just the fact that the effects look like shit.
What was that fucking the fucking shears thing? They kept shit, dun 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 dun.
Oh, you mean like the trident that, like
right on the fucking cable, and then it goes into another room, and it's just like all you hear is but you don't see anything.
Or the fact, so they bought one song. So at the very least, Monster Man had 2 songs. This one bought 1 song. And it didn't even fit anything to the movie because she's like slowly creeping around, and you got this beat techno.
Yeah.
While she's like creeping around corners and stuff.
It didn't fit anything.
No.
And what was this? I just love movies that leave me stammering. How? Why? I was doing that. I was doing my Steve Martin from Planes, Trains, Automobiles. Why would you do this? I don't know who greenlit this piece of shit. I don't know why it got money. I don't know why movies like this get money and then other movies do not. Like, how do you justify this? This had to have been a scam. This had to have been a money laundering scheme. That's how this movie got made.
Yeah, so somebody owed the mafia money.
It's like, what are you doing?
Well, the production companies are Banana Brothers, Barnholtz Entertainment, and Mangler Productions.
Well, there's usually like a Mangler production, like LLC. Is it LLC?
I don't care.
It's not even.
Not even in the thing. That's how much they don't care.
Nerd Journal says cartel. I don't know. I don't.
Says, so half the cast have yeeted themselves out of the production. Fuck this movie. Bye.
Bye.
Good luck.
That girl who got grabbed by the wire was like, okay, when my character goes, just have it pull me off screen and just get me the fuck out of this movie. It's like, can we do that? Can it just like, and I'm out? It's like,
I wonder if he called her agent halfway through filming, like, hey, I know I'm supposed to be the star of this, but I got a fucking Oreo commercial I gotta go do.
I don't need to eat that badly.
Skin scratcher. I don't care. That was okay. So what I brought, I can say this: what I brought up about Monster Man and how films like that may hurt the genre, may hurt like the level of entry for newcomers to the genre, and they make us appreciate it. This movie does not. This movie hurts the genre because it's the reason why films like this are made. This is why, because when you hurt the industry, it's not about putting out shoddy project, which this is. This is absolutely. It's not solely about that. It's why
these movies get made. The purpose behind them, because movies are a business investment. You put a bunch of money in, you create a product, you put it out there, you distribute it, and hopefully you get your money back. That's the fucking point. It's a business. Movies like this will never make money. The people who are behind it, the people who are directing the shit, the actors who are in it, they know this piece of shit will never see a fucking dime. That this is a black hole that all this money went into. The question is, where is the money going? That's the point. Why are we attaching Mangler to it to get like the whole Stephen King air?
You know how, like, this may be like a United States thing or even just a Texas thing, but you know how whenever you're driving down the freeway or the roads somewhere, you're driving somewhere and they're rebuilding the road again and again and again and again, right? So they tear it up, they fix something, like, oh fuck, I forgot to replace that one piece of rebar. I got to tear the whole fucking thing up, put it back in. You know, it's to justify their budget. That way, next year when they go to the budget committee, they can say, "Hey, look, we spent this much money. We're gonna need a little bit more." I think that's what these films are about.
I mean, it may be the whole "if you don't use it, you lose it," which is a really, really stupid policy the government follows.
Yeah. I've got to say, I do think that there are things that we can learn from this type of movie, and those things are what not to do. I don't necessarily. It's a shit movie, and the genre itself is worse for having these types of films in there because, again, nobody cared about this. And if they did, if the director cared about this, he didn't care enough. I don't see any care in this. This seems like it was just, hey, let me grab a bunch of people and a couple of handy cams, jack off on a fucking movie, and then put it out there. Maybe somebody will watch it. Maybe 3 assholes on the fucking internet will watch it one day and tell me how shit it is. But
I honestly wish this thing at least had the bad taste of being like a complete egoist project. It doesn't even have that. There's no fucking personality to this thing whatsoever.
It's so sterile. Yeah, that's the problem. It's very sterile. Everything is it's not even formulaic. It's like there's no rhyme or reason to this movie. None whatsoever. And it's not like it was done as a choice. It's like they got a bunch of people that say, hey, we got to put a movie out and we got like a weekend to do it. And they just said, okay, fucking do it. I don't. It
fucking Shockmo was better than this.
I don't. I look at, like, you look at Birdemic, at least he cared. Like, at least it's something. Birdemic is by no means a good movie.
No.
But at least he put forth some kind of effort. He failed, but he tried. This is not even trying.
Rubber had that.
Yeah.
At least Rubber had like something. It knew what it wanted to be. It's totally fucking surreal and weird, and it's a tire that's psychic and blows up birds. But yes, exactly. And you get something from it. This thing is like if a fucking AI made a movie.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think even AI will fumble its way through a film better than this.
Did you read that the AI? Have you seen that AI written an AI generated horror film? Like they fed a bunch of shit to a computer and the AI generated a horror film off it. It's on YouTube. You've got to check it out. It's fucking hilarious.
But
the guy who does the Honest Trailers voice, he's in it. Yeah, so because he's the voice of I think he's the voice of the killer or some shit. But anyway, it's fucking hilarious.
Sarcasm. I'm sorry. We will no longer polish this turd.
Yeah,
this is a giant pile of bunches of buckets of shit mixed in with more shit.
There's no reason to watch this.
There is one reason to watch this. This is a perfect example of what not to do.
Of what not to do is true.
This is how you don't make a movie. If anything, the only thing that you can get from this movie is don't do this.
It's really hard. It's really hard to even give credit for getting into the can. It's really
I don't feel like they really got it into the can. I mean, because I take a shit in the can all the time, and it's a big pile of shit, and market guaranteed I got spare time. But I don't know that they really put this in the can. I think they're still working on it.
Aaron Ray says it's like someone threw up in a bucket of shit.
Yeah,
actually,
It's more like someone eating out a dead cat. The film equivalent of this.
The film equivalent.
At least that scene was important for
the plot.
For the plot.
That scene made more sense than
this is a plot point.
Okay, so going back to Monster Man, I like how they did that, and you're like, oh, you know, like when you're watching, like, why the fuck would they do that? And later they explain the whole thing. Like it was this clunky explanation of why these certain things had to happen the way they happened. And you can tell they were being, you know, they were self-aware of what they were doing. It's like,
oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we're going to lazily connect it together. But again, that was a choice. That was a choice. This movie.
You know that whoever wrote Monster Man, just imagine this. He's sitting there at his computer. You know, he's got Final Draft keyed up.
Yeah.
Doing Monster Man. He gets to that point. He's like, I'm going to do all this like sick shit in there. Like have him eat people and roadkill. And like, oh, what if everything I'm putting them through, that's the elements for a spell?
Yeah.
Fucking A! And he came up with an idea and was like, this fucking gold. I'm just
he was probably playing Magic the Gathering. That's what happened. He was playing Magic the Gathering. And those are the top 5, like tarot card style. Like, oh, dead cat. Oh, pentagram star. Which cha-ching.
Let's hit the CT on this so we can get to the trivia. Because honestly, this franchise, I think this one killed the franchise. The Mangler Reborn came out after this, but it was absolute bullshit as well. Surprisingly, not as bad as this one was, but still bad. But the franchise, in my personal opinion, is dead. Hence why I'm asking this, you know, the CT.
Okay, so what I want to know is, do we really want to subject ourselves to a reboot? Or do we leave this in, this says scrappy, but no, do we leave this in the pile of dead, rotting deer feces that belong? I don't know why deer feces came up, but do you want to see this movie done again, or you want to just leave it alone? Let us know in the side chat, down in the comment section, or weekinhorror@gmail.com. I'm sure we're all dying to know the answer to that question.
Yep.
Yes, Sir Little Wolf, there was a Mangler Reborn. I shit you not.
That film does exist.
The film does exist. I wouldn't tell you terrible things are out there with, you know, I want you to avoid them. I want you to avoid these traps because I have walked through them. I speak from the experience.
We're trying to save you.
Definitely. I think it's trivia time. We've been through so much shit tonight. Let's do it. Okay, tonight we're giving away a Week in Horror limited edition shirt number 4. Very soon, limited edition shirt number 4 will be leaving the store, and we will be announcing limited edition shirt number 5, which is currently in design as we speak. So, limited edition shirt number 4, Eugene, take it away. Give them the reason why they're here, the payoff for sitting through all of this shit with us.
All right. The trivia question is, what alternate title was Monster Man released under in Latin America? I'll say it again. What alternate title was Monster Man released under in Latin America?
Ooh, I better pull up the YouTubes. Got to pull up the YouTubes so I can figure out who's first.
What is
now
it?
that
Mangler 4?
Never mind.
Oh, got
Travis
it.
Brown.
Travis Brown got it. The correct answer is Wrong Turn 2. Even though it has no relation to Wrong Turn.
None whatsoever.
None. It's just like Trolls 2 or Mangler 2.
Nailball. Well, I will say that, I mean, there is kind of that wrong turn element in Monster Man. Kind of.
Yeah.
It was kind of like you know, I took the wrong turn, let it. I get it. I get it.
People are in that film, just like Wrong Turn.
Yeah. Travis Brown, congratulations with Wrong Turn 2. Nerd Journal says, not why I'm here. I don't play. That's okay. Hopefully, if you happen to know one on the top of your head, you may be able to win something. That would be really cool. But we're glad that you're here anyway. Chris Durham says, my trivia question answer was Chopin's Raindrop Prelude is only easy if you play it at least once a day, every week, forever. Skitch Crasher says, Mexican Monster Man. Close. Angel Rivera says, Coco?
Oh, that's just wrong.
Tony Regine says, Mamma Mia. Wrote up no less name, said, La Monster Man. La Monster Man. That was fucking brilliant.
That should have been the answer.
We're gonna know his name. That was brilliant. Travis Brown says, I don't even know what I won. You won a Week in Horror limited edition shirt number 4. So Travis, if you need to update your shipping information, go ahead and get that to us via the Discord or via weekinhorror@gmail.com and let us know what size you want that shirt in. So remind me, I think I have it written down, but if you have any updates, get those to us. And I think, it's Aaron Reese said, pendejo monstruoso.
That would have been better as well.
That would have been.
Travis Brown, the shirt number 4, limited edition shirt number 4 is the Shit Gets Real shirt, which is Eugene's catchphrase.
Yes,
Yep.
Shit gets real.
And you get your choice of color.
Colors. Yeah.
You get your choice of color on that one as well. So check those out. Let us know what color you want and let us know what size you want.
Pink,
Awesome.
extra small. Yes.
Baby, what baby? Oh, you give it to a baby. Pink, really small, like shit gets real.
It's real.
Oh, it does. Congratulations, Travis Brown. Let me make sure I get your name down here.
Travis Brown says, "Oh, I already have that, so I'll give it to Angie."
Oh, okay.
And gifted to Angie. All right.
That is awesome.
Very generous of you, Travis Brown. That's pretty amazing. Fantastic. And so, Angie, you have been gifted a shirt. So, Angie, I believe I do not have your shipping information. So, Angie, get us your shipping details at weekinhorror@gmail.com or via the Discord. The link is in the description. And, of course, let us know what color you want and the size. So, we will get that printed out to you as soon as we get that information. Thank you so much. Wayne, well, very awesome. Thank you, Travis Brown. Very cool. All right. Sarcasm says, I wear my Shit Gets Real shirt at least once a week, usually on Tuesdays.
Can we talk about Eugene's white walls?
Eugene's white walls.
I have been telling Eugene to put something on them walls for years. I've only known him for months.
I keep buying equipment. That's why I have C-stands behind me.
Yeah. He's got that one little halo.
I'm gonna get you a fucking poster. We're gonna get you a poster or something, man. Your shit's starting to look like the final kid's room in Horseman.
That's why I don't shoot shit in my room. Nothing goes.
I wouldn't shoot shit anywhere. Just not a good policy.
They gotta be full auto.
I love it. It's like a Jackson Pollock.
Oh, gross.
Finger painting.
He's so angry.
And that's going to bring another episode of Week in Horror to a close. Thank you all so much for listening, and we truly hope you enjoyed the show. Join us next week when we look back at the brutal road trip horror, The Hitcher, the original one, Rutger Hauer. The horror anthology From Beyond the Grave, zombie horror in The Cured, and the werewolf body horror, Cursed. We'd like to send a special shout out to all of our amazing patrons who continue to help us make Week in Horror the incredible success it has become. Thank you all so much. Your names are down there in the banner. Be sure to stop by Joshua Olsen's store, www.badsamurai.store. He does all of our amazing artwork for the show, and his designs are incredible. He's got some new stuff there. Be sure to check that out ASAP. Link is in the description. For more horror fun, be sure to follow us on the socials where you will get the daily splatter right to your feeds, and at Digital Darkness, our new gaming channel hosted by Alien X Gaming. Please comment, like, subscribe, and smash that bell as if you're somebody's #1 fan for all the latest updates from the show. Those interactions really help us to appease the insatiable hunger of our dark god algorithm. And lastly, if you love what we do here and you would like to and are able to support the production, you can through our Patreon. We have tiers as low as $1 a month. That's lower than U-Bowl will sink to make a horror movie. Higher tiers get early and special After Dark access, bonus content, monthly horror movies, and you can even join us as a special guest judge for our bloodbath debates. Come and listen to us debate who would win in a horror fight. You get to be the judge, and it's
not nerdy at all.
But if Patreon is not your modus operandi, you can always support us directly through our PayPal. Links to all of this, including our Discord community, where you can find film recommendations, trailers, trivia games, horror watch parties, interact directly with us, are in the description below.
As always, sharing the show with the fans in your local horror community is the absolute best way to help us further our goals of global horror domination. Thank you all so much for being the greatest audience a podcast could have. I am JL.
I don't want to say my name.
And I'm Eugene.
We'll see you. Fuck you. We'll see you all next week. And as always, stay scared.